second start for the Giants in place of an injured starter in Daniel Jones. He sprained his left ankle in last week's loss to the Cards. As for Baker Mayfield, he and the Browns coming off a 47-42 loss to the rival Ravens in that great Monday night game. And he had to throw it to get his team back in contention. 343 passing yards in that one. Look, it was a really fun game to watch, but I think it was a big prove-it game for Baker Mayfield, especially when he had to throw the ball to keep it close. Randy, what difference are you seeing in Baker right now?
Well, the difference is what we talked about earlier in the season with the two-headed monster in the backfield hiding Baker Mayfield. But you just talked about something. The Monday night performance that Baker Mayfield showed me his growth, and he's ready to lead this franchise. I'll put some plays together to show you of why I'm in all of Baker Mayfield. Man, look at the ball placement. It's fourth quarter, 1:50 to go in the game. Baker Mayfield, be the man that the franchise needs you to be. Ball placement there. Next play, man, the pressure is coming toward Baker Mayfield. 1:44 to go. Baker Mayfield, get outside of the pocket, but I want you to keep them chains moving. This was just a week ago on Monday Night Football. Deliver the ball, Baker Mayfield. There you go. And last but not least, they're sending the pressure on first down. Baker Mayfield, recognize the coverage, get the ball out. This was a great play by Kareem Hunt right there. So you talking about the growth of Baker Mayfield in such his young career. I've seen it. Coach Stefanski was able last week to be able to bring the chains off Baker Mayfield, put the ball in his hands. I like what I'm seeing coming out of Cleveland.
Randy, I totally agree with you because week one was an absolute disaster. When they played the Ravens that first week, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why? Because it was Kevin Stefanski's offense. All right. Right now, this is ownership by Baker Mayfield. This is his offense. You see the confidence, you see the swagger, but we also see the maturity out of Baker Mayfield, which we really didn't see up until this point this year. So I think Baker, man, he feels great about it. This is his deal.
You got Brown.
I got the Brown. Listen to me, Baker. I love you, my friend.
Things have changed.
So we're talking about the Browns here. So how far can they take it? How far do we think they can take it?
With that run game?
Am I the only one here that thinks they can take it all the way to a championship? I say why not? I say why not because of this. Kevin Stefanski's got to be a great play caller and take care of Baker. I know he let it go against the Ravens, and he was doing everything, Moss, yes, but he can't do that consistently 3-4 games in a row to progress in the playoffs. It's got to be Chubb. It's got to be the offensive line. It's got to be Hunt. And Myles Garrett and Olivier Vernon got to be superstars because the back end needs a little bit of help, but they can be helped by the pass rush. That's a lot of other things besides Baker Mayfield. But I'm going to give the Cleveland Browns a little wake-up call right now. If you have the chance to do it, you can prove everybody wrong and win a championship if they do it the right way. It's possible. I've just seen it done before. It can be done by Cleveland.
Yeah, and I think you're onto something. I don't know if they're up there with the elite teams in the AFC, but a lot of people talk about running the football. It's easy to talk about it. It's hard to be about it. And give Kevin Stefanski a lot of credit. He's been about it. They've got not one, but two guys who have more than 750 yards rushing in those two backs that they have. Both of those guys are on pace for 1,000-yard seasons. That's impressive. And Randy, what I see out of Baker Mayfield, what I see that he's doing, I think maybe best, is that, Kevin Stefanski talks about the quarterback being the great eraser. Hey, I make a bad play call. Get me out of it. Save the day. Hey, someone misses the block. He's not the best athlete. He's not Lamar Jackson, but he's enough of an athlete to be that great eraser. And then you have this defense that can get after the passer, stop the run, and then they run the football. I think they're building something special. I'm not ready to put them up there with teams like Kansas City and Pittsburgh, and they got to show me that they can actually beat Baltimore one of these times. But there's a lot of reason for optimism in Cleveland.
Well, they better win tonight.
Well, quickly, if a team comes in to play the Cleveland Browns and they do take the two-headed monster away from Baker, we talked about earlier in the season, what does Stefanski do? Let's get Baker out of the pocket and move him around. But last week, he showed me his growth. Sit in the pocket, evade the rush, step up in the pocket, and deliver the ball to the pass catchers. If a defense takes the two-headed monster away from the Cleveland Browns, Baker has showed maturity, coach, that he can drop back in that pocket and deliver that football.
Yeah, I've never felt so good about a team coming off a loss. It was kind of a strange feeling.
It's not a moral victory. I'm just saying the body of work, though. It's hard. It's hard. You're the moral victory guy. It's hard for me. It's hard to forget how good he looked against Tennessee, who's a very good team. It's hard to forget. Like Baker Mayfield, I think, put the league on notice the way that he played against Tennessee earlier in the year.
Yes, he's put the league on notice, and he's put the NFC East on notice. I think this is time to share your idea, Matt. He has 3 3-0 against
hear
the
it.
NFC
Let's hear it.
East. If he beats the Giants today, they've swept the NFC
Yeah,
East. And you think that should mean what?
I just think we should talk about maybe if your team has swept every single team in the NFC East and your record is better than the top team in the NFC East, and you're not going to the playoffs, you should now be the winner of the NFC East.
Yes.
And you should make the playoffs. I don't care if you're in the
Even if
AFC,
you're
the
AFC
NFC.
team.
Doesn't matter, man.
I love
Doesn't
it.
matter.
I actually love
just
this
a
idea.
suggestion, Roger Goodell. Just putting it out there for you.
Oh, you know he's
let's
listening.
see,
Just putting
let's
it
see
out
if you
there.
have a suggestion for Name That QB.
Oh, should I know
I mean,
this?
a ladies' man, if nothing else. I feel like this picture has to be somewhat recent.
Come on.
right? In Atlanta, Tom Brady and the Bucs off a win over the Vikings, taking on the Falcons for the first time in 3 weeks, but without Ronald Jones and his left tackle, Donovan Smith. Both of them are out on the COVID list today. And a potential Super Bowl preview in New Orleans today. Drew Brees returns to action after 4 weeks away, just in time to face the Super Bowl MVP in Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs have clinched the AFC West. Saints can clinch the NFC South with a win in this one. And in Glendale, a Sooner reunion as two former OU transfers face off. Jalen Hurts off his first NFL start with a huge win over the Saints. Kyler Murray off a win over the Giants and trying to hold on to a wild card spot. Eagles and Cardinals in the desert. And for more on the quarterback situation in that game, let's go back to Mort and Adam, guys.
Well, Sam, for the last week to 10 days, we've been asking about what the Philadelphia Eagles are going to do with Carson Wentz, when maybe it should be the other way around, and we should be asking, what is Carson Wentz going to be doing about the Philadelphia Eagles? Because those who know him say he's not entirely happy with being the backup quarterback, and that's not what he'd like to do, Mort, long term.
No, and internally, they are expecting a confrontation or certainly a sit-down at the end of the season. Wentz is not happy. He is running the scout team like a professional, but there are people close to Wentz and around the league who believe he may demand a trade depending on how this season unfolds and how it goes into the offseason. And Doug Peterson is somebody to watch on that as well, Adam.
And Mort, with you saying that Carson Wentz could demand a trade, it also bears watching to see how Jalen Hurts, the rookie second-round draft pick, performs today in Arizona. He's already coming off a win in his first start against New Orleans. If he were to keep this up and somehow find an unlikely, improbable way for the Eagles to win the division and get into the playoffs, that would complicate things. It's a problem the Eagles would welcome, but the better he plays, the more complicated the decision comes for the Philadelphia Eagles, Mort.
Yeah, and even let's talk about Russell Wilson here. He gets his left tackle, Dwayne Brown, back today, and he's going to need him and then some because they're facing a Washington football team that has probably the best front seven in football, including the player in this year's draft that many regarded as the best, even among the quarterbacks, and that's Chase Young. He does it all. He's a big man. He's living up to the billing, and he and Carolina's Jeremy Chin are in a race for that defensive rookie player of the year. So Russell Wilson has to figure that out. And how about this one? Jason Garrett, unfortunately, down with COVID-19.